Welcome to this lesson of English for Primary 7, Term 3. Yeah, we say thank you once again for keeping in touch with us during this pandemic as you learn. Yeah, so that you don't backslide because of this long period of absence from school. So we've gone as far as page 23 of our workbook. I always say the chalkboard has, or the teacher presents you a summary of what is in the workbook, and that summary appears on the chalkboard. And the moment it appears, you've got to be super attentive, very attentive, so that you can use that little worksheet on the chalkboard to do the detailed work that is always given in the workbook. Page 23, P.7 Term 3 workbook, and the topic is ceremonies. Then the subtopic itself is funeral. We are done with marriage. We are now looking at almost the opposite of marriage, and that is funeral. Okay, so the other one is an occasion of joy. Here we are now talking about an occasion of total sadness, total grief. Okay, let's look at the new words in this subtopic, the very last subtopic of primary English, where we have words like burial, mourn, widower, epitaph, pay respects, which is normally written as pay last respects. Sometimes they write pay last respects. Then hearse, requiem, coffin, graveyard, one word, widow, and that should be the opposite of widower. One is a man, the other one is a woman. Okay, mortician, exhume, corpse, obituary, cremation. That is our list on the board. The list is longer when you check what is in your books. What is important is to do what the teacher emphasizes during the lesson. Let's go through the list once again before we go to other stuff that we need to discuss today. We have the subtopic as funeral, under the topic ceremonies. Funeral, burial, mourn, widower, epitaph, pay respects, which I said can be changed to pay last respects, then hearse, requiem, coffin, graveyard, widow, mortician, exhume, corpse, obituary, and lastly, cremation. A custom very common in other countries outside, especially outside Africa. Yes, common known in the country of India and Pakistan, Thailand, those countries. Look up the meaning of each of the above words in a dictionary. Go to the dictionary, look up the meaning of each of the words above and other strange words you have seen in the workbook. These words are not defined, unlike what is done in other topics. Here we not define meaning. You're going to take trouble to find out the meaning of all those words as shown in the workbook and on the board. Then construct oral sentences using the words given above. You're going to construct your personal oral sentences using each of the words given above. Before you construct a sentence, it is always important to first master the meaning of that word before you use it in a sentence. So, having done that, looking up the words and mastering their meanings and then using them in oral sentences, you're going to try an activity, a filling activity, from page 23 up to page 24. It stretches up 25, is it? No. Okay. It goes up to page 25. Then there is the use of despite, which we discussed some time back. So we shared a lot about the use of despite. Let's look at it in brief. Although Sheikh Islam was a very rich man, he was buried in 2 shrouds. Although Sheikh Islam was a very rich man, he was buried in 2 shrouds. Let's take this as our example here using despite. Use despite. You see despite here is quoted, and that means the candidate is free to use it either at the beginning or within the sentence. So if you begin despite and your answer is correct, tick. If you use despite within the sentence and the answer is correct, still correct, no problem, because the moment it appears inside quotation marks, feel free to use it in either position, beginning or within the sentence. So we are answering like this. Despite the fact that Sheikh Islam was a very rich man, he was buried in 2 shrouds. I repeat, despite the fact that Sheikh Islam was a very rich man, he was buried in 2 shrouds. Then if you want to use despite within the sentence, you will say, Sheikh Islam was buried in 2 shrouds despite the fact that he was a very rich man. I repeat, Sheikh Islam was buried in 2 shrouds despite the fact that he was a very rich man. Let's look at question 5 as our next example here about the use of despite. Question 5 reads, in spite. These are 2 separate words. In spite of the fact that Chigozi is a friendly person, he does not attend funerals. Oh. In spite of the fact that Chigozi is a very friendly person, he does not attend funerals. Our answer, I said we can use despite within the sentence or at the beginning. Chigozi. Let me begin with despite. Despite doesn't take off. Remember that. Despite doesn't take off, but in spite takes off. So we say, despite the fact that Chigozi is a friendly person, he does not attend funerals. When we begin despite, just like you see in spite at the beginning, we need a comma to separate the 2 clauses. Yes, we need a comma after the first clause, that is. So we are saying, despite the fact that Chigozi is a friendly person, he does not attend funerals. Despite the fact that Chigozi is a friendly person, he does not attend funerals. Next, despite within the sentence. Chigozi does not attend funerals despite the fact that he is a friendly person. That's our answer to number 5. Meaning, with those 2 examples, or examples we have discussed, you should be able to answer the remaining 10 questions. Yeah. Total of 12 have been discussed. That means you can answer the remaining 10 questions, yes, using despite wherever you want, either within the sentence or at the beginning. So with that, allow me to take you as far as emphatic pronouns. Emphatic pronouns. What are they? We are saying like reflexive pronouns, emphatic pronouns end in self or selves. That means reflexive pronouns also end in self or selves. That one's understood. So think of a pronoun where the last letters are either these or these, and that is a reflexive pronoun. Still, that pronoun can also be called an emphatic pronoun, meaning emphatic pronouns are a form of reflexive pronouns, but the difference is in the way they are used in sentences. They differ depending on the way they have been used in the sentence. So let's take a look at the other note. They are called emphatic pronouns because they are used to okay. So these ones are called emphatic pronouns, not reflexive, because they are used to lay emphasis on the subject in a sentence. That is it. And that's the origin of the name emphatic pronouns. So let's look at the examples of emphatic pronouns in sentences where they are used to lay emphasis on the subject. Number 1, the orphans dug the grave by themselves. The orphans dug the grave by themselves. Yeah, that's our answer. What is the emphatic pronoun? The emphatic pronoun is themselves. It has been used to lay emphasis not on the grave but on the orphans. The orphan is the noun on which we are laying emphasis with the pronoun themselves, emphatic pronoun. Next, my sister herself attended the funeral. Check the way they are used. My sister herself attended the funeral. That's my example number 2, where the emphatic pronoun is herself, laying emphasis on the noun. Which noun? Not the female, but my sister. Yeah, my sister herself. The orphans themselves. So, very clear. Next and last, the widow laid a wreath on the coffin by herself. The widow laid a wreath on the coffin by herself. Where is the emphatic pronoun? The emphatic pronoun here is herself. Sorry, that's not the style we are using. Herself is the emphatic pronoun. Then, which noun? On which noun is it laying that emphasis? On the noun, the widow. The widow. Woman who has lost her husband is a widow. Exercise page 26 up to 27. That's where it's an exercise about the use of emphatic pronouns in different sentences. Then let's look at the structure part of it. The first activity is about filling in. Yes, using the word. Yes, the most suitable emphatic pronoun. But this time, let's look at the use of self or selves in emphatic pronouns. Good enough. The teacher has given examples here. The examples in the book about this miss something. I like that preposition. It shows clear emphasis. For example, when I see the example number 1 in the workbook about this, it reads, nobody helped the orphans to dig the grave. Answer, the orphans dug the grave themselves. Let's add by. Let's add by to clearly show that emphasis. Number 2, I carried the casket without any help. If I carried the casket without any help, it means I carried the casket by myself. Let's add by to put that emphasis very clear. I carried the casket by myself. We are discussing work on page 27 of that workbook of term 3. So let's go to the examples on the board. We embalmed the corpse without anybody helping us. What is to embalm as seen in your dictionary? I said that first you have to look at the words before you start using them in sentences. To embalm a dead body is to treat it with chemicals to make sure it doesn't decay, or to stop it from decaying. That is to embalm it. So if we say we embalmed the corpse without anybody helping us, it means we treated it chemicals to stop it from decaying, yes, without anybody helping us. Rewrite the sentence ending ourselves. So answer will be, we embalmed the corpse by ourselves. Full stop. And that's our answer. We embalmed the corpse by ourselves. By ourselves means there was nobody helping us. Therefore, those words are not necessary when we use ourselves. Number 2, I carried the casket without anyone's help. And that means you're going to write the sentence ending self. And you say, I carried the casket. A casket is a coffin. But casket is normally used in American English. I carry the casket by myself. Full stop, and that's the end of your answer. I carried the casket by myself. NB, ourselves, myself, himself, themselves, herself, itself. This word which confuses most people. Oneself. All those words are not separated. You write itself one word. Oneself one word. Myself, themselves, ourselves, etc. as one word. Be careful. That's a common mistake most candidates make, and they lose marks. Let's turn to page 28. On page 28, we see something to do with the use of who. I want to tell you one thing. There's some work we skipped in the term 2 workbook, and that work is connected to this. And therefore, because of the various steps we have to go through to master this work, which looks easy, but it is not that easy. That's why I say you need to be with me, just near me, to see what you're doing. Yes, where necessary, we move as slow as that animal, you know. So you're going to discuss this work when we are at school. This work about the use of who. Looks like P4 work, but it is not. It is P7 work. Pure P7 work, term 3. So make sure you leave those 7 gaps. Then we meet at school, maybe in January, possibly inshallah, and we discuss this work together with the teacher. So let's go straight to the use of and neither. There are things that are not good for online lessons. They are good when you are seated one-on-one. We discuss and we see how we can master them. Using and neither. Examples. Mugezi did not attend the funeral, or Pio did not attend the funeral either. Either can be used in negative sentences in any position to emphasize, to show emphasis. Yes, it's used to lay emphasis on a negative. So when you see either at the end, don't say it is not okay, very okay when you use either in any position to emphasize a negative. So we say Mugezi did not attend the funeral, or Pio did not attend the funeral either. Use a neither. When you use a neither, you forget about this because a neither shows a negative. We go. Rewrite as one sentence using a neither. Mugezi did not attend the funeral. The funeral is a burial ceremony, and neither did or P. You can fit here. And neither did or P. Full stop. And that's our answer. Mugezi did not attend the funeral, and neither did or P. Simple as that. Next, and possibly the last example we're discussing here. Musa never saw the dead body. Dead body is always words. Musa never saw the dead body. Kakuru never saw the dead body. Rewrite as one sentence using a neither. And your answer will look like Musa never saw the dead body. Another word for dead body is corpse. Musa never saw the dead body, and neither did Kakuru. Capital K at the beginning. Full stop. Musa never saw the dead body, and neither did Kakuru. So, ladies and gentlemen, of tomorrow our lesson ends here. Let's meet next time, and that moment we'll be discussing something to do with the use of as well as. But for now, we have an activity on page 28 and 29 about the use of and neither. Whatever we've skipped, be sure we'll meet at school and share it with the teacher one-on-one. God bless you till we meet again. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.